It's interesting, we heard from the Minister of DRC, what's wrong with your country? Well, we don't even start by saying the King of Belgium created a slave colony for 30 years. The government of Belgium ran the slave colony for another 40 years.
Hi there. So in this next part or this next clip is a very interesting one. You're going to hear how the eminent American economist Professor Jeffrey Sachs exposes the truth about how the West is keeping Africa poor, or how they have been doing it. And this came out of an environmental climatic forum or summit where white people had met to discuss on how to force Congo and Gabon and Equatorial Guinea and a lot of other African countries not to cut down trees and destroy their forests, because apparently these trees clean carbon dioxide from the air. This carbon dioxide is produced in Europe, in America, in developed countries, and it's up to these African countries to sacrifice and remain poor and not use the forest resources or do mining in those forests because they have to save the world.
Measure of international transfers to help poor people, sometimes none at all. It's based on extreme irresponsibility of powerful countries with regard to the environment, and it's based on a radical denial of rights of poor people, as we just heard. It's interesting, we heard from the Minister of DRC, what's wrong with your country? Well, we don't even start by saying the King of Belgium created a slave colony for 30 years. The government of Belgium ran the slave colony for another 40 years. The CIA assassinated your first popular leader, Mr. Lumumba, and then installed another dictatorship for the next 30 years. And then Glencore and others now suck out your cobalt without giving you tax income. We don't reflect on that. We say, what's wrong with you? Why don't you govern properly? And so we have a system, but we need a different system. And what the governments should do is the following. They won't, but they should. First, the G20 should become the G21 by inviting systemically the chairperson of the African Union and the African Union to be the 21st country. The European Union is a member of the G20 as the EU. If you add the AU as the 21st for the G21, you add 1.4 billion people to representation at that crucial event. That will change decisively the discussion, because 1.4 billion people are not at the table for finance right now, and they need to be. So my first recommendation is the G21. I love the G20. Add one seat, 1.4 billion people with the AU represented.